Hi, I'm Stephanie, and I have a company called Unbu, which stands for Empowerment and Beauty. I'm a hair and makeup artist and a coach, and you might be thinking, for a makeup artist, you have very little makeup on, and that's true. So I'm going to do a series where I am getting ready and telling a story, or attempting to if I can see myself in this mirror, so you have to bear with me. And I can put a list of the products into the show notes maybe, or something, if that's something that people want to see. So I was thinking this morning about how terrifying things can be when you're in a situation and then you'll find out something like, years later that completely changes it. And I'll give you an example. When I was growing up, my mom had a wax pot at home. So if you've never done waxing before, good for you, because it's really freaking painful. But you can use hot wax to pull hair off of your body. My mom would do it for herself and for me, my sister, at home. And so I learned at a young age to wax my own eyebrows, which, it's no wonder that I ended up being a hair and makeup artist first in my life. So it was the week of junior prom, and I was going with my high school sweetheart, so we'd been dating since 9th grade, which is crazy when I think about it now. And I naturally needed to wax my eyebrows to get ready for the dance. And so I heated up the wax pot and did the first eyebrow, and everything was fine. And then on the second side, I think I was in a hurry or something, or I did it pretty often, so I was pretty confident, and definitely wasn't taking my time. And I got to the second eyebrow and then put the wax on and then squished the paper over the top. And in hindsight, and maybe I'm imagining this because sometimes in hindsight you can embellish things a little bit, but when I put the paper over the top of the wax, as I imagine it now, I could feel the wax spread out underneath. And wax does spread a little bit, but that's not good because then it means that it's gonna grab onto more hair than you want. So it ended up spreading. I tore the paper off, and in front of me was sitting a magnifying mirror, and that's how I used to do my makeup, which is terrifying to me now. I would not want to look at my face in a magnifying mirror every morning and every evening to scrutinize my skin like I used to. And when I looked in the mirror, the whole center of my eyebrow was gone because the wax had spread all the way up here. And I screamed. My mom came running from the other room, and I think she thought that I was like hurt or something big had gone on, and she's panicking because that's what happens when your child screams. And she comes in to see that I had waxed the middle part of my eyebrow off, and she's like, it's okay, we'll get you a pencil to fill it in. She was so great about it. She took me to Ulta, because that's where I always went at the time. It was like my beauty resource growing up in high school, and got me the appropriate colored pencil so I could try to fill my eyebrows in. And I remember that I am not a hat person at all, especially like baseball caps. I tend to feel like I can't see like around my face, but I became a hat person, and I wore a hat every day for that week, pulled really low over my forehead, and was so worried that my boyfriend was gonna notice it. And so I hid it. I didn't say anything to him about it because I was so embarrassed. And for me then, when I was embarrassed with something, I would kind of stuff it down and hide it. and pretend it wasn't there. It was like, you know, a kid's coping mechanism, I guess. I think that's pretty normal, probably, for some people. And we went to the dance and it was fine, and I kind of forgot about it for a while until, and this is gonna sound super geeky, but one of the things that I loved to do in high school was scrapbook. And I really got into scrapbooking all of my dances from school because I wanted a record of all of them. And so when I went to put these pictures together for this dance, I was reminded of how thin my eyebrow was. Because also, I mean, I was periodically reminded afterwards too, because it takes a really long time to grow back in eyebrow hairs. And the things that we have today, like the lash serums and stuff like that, they help grow your eyebrows, but they weren't around back then. This was, you know, a while ago. I'm in my 30s. So I was looking back on these pictures, and since it had been a couple years, I could finally say something about it. Like, I wasn't as embarrassed about it because it wasn't actually a thing anymore. My eyebrows had grown back in, you know, everything was fine. And so I told this story to my boyfriend at the time, and he was shocked. He was like, "What? You waxed off your eyebrow? I had no idea." And I think it's just, I was kind of like questioning a lot of things after that. I was like, really? Do you pay attention at all? But I think that sometimes we're so horrified about things that maybe aren't that big of a deal in the big scheme of things. And to a high schooler, to be fair, waxing off part of your eyebrow is a big deal because your world isn't very big yet. So it was, you know, a little traumatic at the time. But the main reason why I was embarrassed about it was because I thought that he was going to notice and think I looked stupid. It wasn't even about the fact that I did look like I had a weird wonky eyebrow with no hair in the middle. It was about being worried about him thinking I looked stupid. And then to find out a couple years later that he didn't even notice. I had to point it out to him specifically in the picture for him to see what I was talking about, and it didn't even bother him. I think, honestly, if I had told him in the moment, he probably would have laughed. Like, we could have, you know, not in a mean way, but we could have laughed about it, and it could have been, like, not this horrifying thing that I was hiding from the world. And I can think of a handful of other experiences, if not more, that are kind of like that have happened as I've grown up, where I thought this thing was such a big deal, and I would kind of hide for a while because I was really worried about how other people would perceive me. And things like this and stories like this always remind me that I'm really my own worst critic. And a lot of times sharing things with the other people in your life, especially the things that you're embarrassed about, can help give them so much less power. Because the reality of that situation is that it's kind of funny, right? It's kind of funny that I just got a bunch of glitter underneath my eye, but who doesn't like glitter? It's kind of funny that I waxed the middle of my own eyebrow off in my bathroom of my home because I was doing my own eyebrows, which was maybe not the best idea. And now that I'm thinking about it, the same thing happened to me again when I was in beauty school because we would practice on each other. And I don't know if it was the same eyebrow or not, I can't really remember, but definitely I was mad at the girl who did it to me, but the second time it happened, it was like, it's no big deal. I can fill that in, or it really doesn't mean anything or matter in the way that I thought it did. I think when some of these things happen, we can end up thinking like, oh, what does this mean about me? What does this make me? How am I different? And you might look different, but you're still you. And while in the moment these things can be super terrifying, like talking about them and venting out some of that embarrassment or shame or fear can help that whole situation to feel a little bit less powerful. So wax at your own risk, I guess I would say. And that is my makeup routine. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you in the next one.